Good afternoon. Let me start by complimenting Coach Scott and his team. Looking at Latrell Scott's resume before the game and knowing him personally to some degree, not really well, but we've had some conversations in the past. He's done an excellent job wherever he's been as a head coach. So we knew they'd be a well-coached football team. I thought they played like that, and congratulations to them. I'm sure that they'll have that program going in the direction that they want it to move. I also want to compliment our student section. I thought our student section certainly well motivated. That's been highly publicized, but they were great. They were an energetic force for us today. Even coming out in the second half, that student section was full, and that was really exciting. I'm pleased with the direction that's moving, and I think as we go through the season, it's going to continue to be something that's going to help us. I thought the football team did a good job today, getting better as the game went on. Good football teams have to do that. It was our first opportunity to get out there and play, and at times we were sharp, and at times in the first half we weren't as sharp as I would like. But I'm pleased that we got better as the game went on, and I'm pleased that we came out in the second half and really played some good football in the third quarter. Questions?
Kyle, can you just give us a timeline of when you learned your players were under investigation?
Why don't we do this? Why don't we do the game first, and then I'll take questions on whatever anybody has. That way we're not going back and forth.
Coach, what went into your decision to pull Reddick after the first half he had?
It wasn't a matter of pulling Reddick. I thought Hayden played well in the first half, and we had an opportunity to get a live evaluation in a game environment on both quarterbacks, and I wanted to do that. We're still gathering information. I'm really pleased at the way both those guys are playing. They are certainly not making it easy on me. Both played at a high level, and we'll go back and we'll watch the film and decide here, what direction we're going to go as we move forward.
Coach, can you talk about the play of your secondary, especially Austin and Morton filling in after everything that happened this week?
I thought the secondary in the beginning of the game had some things that we needed to clean up. The coaches did a really good job with those guys on the sideline, and I think as we got those things cleaned up, they played better as the game went on. And it just goes to show you, that's the difference between practice and the game. When a guy goes out there in a game environment for the first time, almost inevitably you see something that didn't show up in practice because it's a game environment and they're a young player, and that's why you don't see a lot of freshmen that go out there and play. But I thought they got better as the game went on, and I'm excited about the kind of players that they're going to become.
How you put Reddick in at the end of the game there, like you would maybe normally with a backup quarterback, but you're not. So you're not saying that Laviano is the starter moving forward.
No, we're not saying anything like that at this point. We got to go back and watch the film. I thought it was a great opportunity for Hayden's parents. They were in for the game. They come in all the way from California to get a chance to watch him play a little bit more. So, that's really what went into the decision.
How well do you think you'll decide the starter for next week?
I'm sorry, what?
I just said how and when do you think you'll decide on the starter for next week?
The how part is easy to answer. The how part is, we look at the film, we sit down as a coaching staff, we try to decide what it is we think we're going to need to do to win the game next week, and then by Monday or Tuesday we'll have a decision on that.
So we shouldn't. The idea that Laviano started the third quarter isn't a representation that he would have been the starter for the game had he not been suspended.
No, I don't think you can. Well, let me say it this way: you guys can. I can't live in that world of hypotheticals. The situation we were in for today's game was the situation, and we handled it the way we did. And Chris went in at the beginning of the third quarter because I wanted an opportunity to see both quarterbacks in a live situation, and I thought Hayden did a really nice job in the first half, and I wanted to see what Chris could do in the second half.
Kyle, you picked a quarterback and stuck with it primarily in your first 3 years here. Are you open to rotating between guys, whether it be week to week or within the game, or are you trying to find one guy and stick with him?
I just talked to Coach Groh on my way up here, and I said this to him. He was sharing a story about a situation he had when he was the head coach of Virginia. And I said, in all my years, I don't know if I remember a situation like this where both quarterbacks were both doing a really nice job and playing at a high level, and the decision part of this has become a much longer process than I anticipated. When I said 7 to 10 days in the offseason, I believed it would be 7 to 10 days, and somebody would separate themselves, and we'd have a starting quarterback, and we would go forward. So this is a little bit of uncharted water for me. But what I don't want to do is just make a decision to make a decision, or just choose one quarterback because that's what I've done in the past and that's what I've been more comfortable with. What I want to do is whatever the best thing is for this football team to be 1-0 each week. So I think I'm going to have to be open to that as we go through the season.
Didn't seem a half off, slowed Leonte down.
Well, Leonte is a good player, and I don't think that's a surprise to anybody. I'm sure when he came out in the second half, he was highly motivated. One of the things that makes Leonte the player that he is he loves to compete. And when he doesn't get an opportunity to compete in the first half, you can pretty much assure yourself he'll be ready to go in the second half, and he certainly was.
How important does Anthony Chaffee become to this team with how thin the secondary is and how versatile Chaffee can be?
He was really important before any of this happened. Anthony's been a playmaker for us. He had an interception today, which doesn't surprise me. He always, on special teams and on defense, has always seemed to find himself around the ball. He has told me on multiple occasions that he could play on offense. But right now, where we really need him is in that secondary. You're right, and he gives us an older presence and somebody who's been in the games before. So no doubt he's a very important piece of the puzzle because of the player he is and the versatility for sure. But I think it's probably more about the player he is right now.
Coach, how important is Saquon Hampton to the depth of that secondary? Comes out today. Talked about him in the spring and summer, how much he's improved. Comes out today, gets 4 solos.
Yeah, we're excited about Saquon Hampton. We have been for a long time, and his opportunity and his percentage of play certainly went up this week. All those young players in the secondary are going to have to come along as quickly as possible right now.
Is there any consideration of moving anybody? Somebody like Justin Goodwin?
Everything's in consideration. Yeah, everything's in consideration. We will consider everything and anything on this football team each week that will help us be 1-0. And we're fortunate that we've got really unselfish players that will do that.
Kyle, with all that's gone on this week, were you surprised your team was able to focus so much on the game and perform the way it did?
I was not surprised. I had said during the week, I felt that when you have situations like this, it generally goes one way or the other. Your team either becomes distracted or your team becomes galvanized. And I thought that this football team became galvanized. I'm proud of them. Those young men down in the locker room did an excellent job this week of focusing on the task at hand.
How do you think your young secondary did today overall?
I thought they got better as the game went on. When you make a commitment to play young players, you do it with an understanding they're not going to be perfect. That's the reality of it. I lived it as a position coach. I remember Anthony Davis playing. He's on the sideline today. I remember Anthony Davis playing as a true freshman, and as talented as he was, he wasn't perfect. I remember Art Forst playing as a true freshman, another really talented football player for us, but he wasn't perfect. Young players got to catch up to the speed of the game. It's not something that you can. It's not something that just happens in training camp. You got to get them in the games, and they got to do it.
Coach, can you talk about how valuable Janarian Grant is to this team and how he can change the complexion of the game?
He's a special guy. Janarian's a special guy. You saw it. You saw it in the past, and you certainly saw it today when he took the opening kickoff back. And he's one of those players that every time he touches the ball, he's got an opportunity to score. And those guys are special. And he did it again today on special teams. And he's going to have a big role as a wide receiver for us as well.
I guess what went into the decision to keep Paul James in late in the second half, given his rehab from the knee injury and the fact that he might have tweaked it earlier in that one scrimmage? What went into the decision to keep him in?
When the medical staff tells me a player is 100% ready to play, he plays. And what we were doing, I believe, at that point in the game was we were rolling the running backs through on a rotation. And what I had said to Coach Wilson is keep the rotation going.
Coach, Turek comes in and gets a sack after being listed as questionable. A lot of people, myself included, expected him not to play today, given the circumstances. Can you talk about how important it was for you to see him get out there and not only play, but play at a high level and grab a sack to open the season?
I'm not surprised that he was able to get a sack. I mean, Kamoko is a guy who, his skill set is going to lend itself to third down, and he's not 100% for us right now, but and we need him to be 100%. We want Kamoko to be an all-down player. I don't want Kamoko to be a specialist. I don't want him to be a third down pass rusher. I want him to be a first, second, and third down player so that he can have the kind of impact on the program that we all want.
Do you think he's close to making that impact?
Well, I think he will be close when he gets healthy. It's hard. It can't happen by osmosis. You know what I mean? Like, he's got to get out there and be able to practice. And because he was limited in training camp in terms of practice sessions, he's not quite where we hoped he would be right now. It's not his fault. Players have injuries and you have to deal with it. It's not. I'm not placing blame. It's just the situation that we're in.
Can we switch gears?
Sure.
Anything object?
Is there any more questions on the game?
I would just defer to Dan's initial question, if you don't mind. He asked you just kind of any timeline as to you know when the guys might be under investigation by the police.
It's really, I'm not at liberty to discuss it. It's an ongoing investigation. The only thing I can say is, and I think Hasim can confirm this for you guys later on, that from the very beginning we've been completely cooperative with the authorities.
Can you address why they practice on Wednesday?
I'm sorry?
Can you address why they practice on Wednesday? Well, throughout the week, really, throughout training camp, but throughout on Wednesday. NJ.com has a report that that authorities were here investigating on August 25th, the last day of training camp, and they confiscated players' phones. Can you just address why the players practice throughout the week, including Wednesday?
All I would say is we had no reason at that point for them not to practice.
Were you here on August 25th, Friday, when the authorities were here investigating and confiscating the player phones?
Again, I can't comment on what is an ongoing investigation. I think those questions, if you want to refer them to the New Brunswick Police Department, I think that's where they probably should go.
Kyle, how about the perception of the program with all the headlines about the players' arrest, the players dismissed, the players suspended? Obviously, your investigation. What's your perception? What's your concern about the level of perception of the program nationally right now?
My answer to that question would be this. The people that know our program, the recruits that are committed to us right now in this current class, there is no perception issue with our program. And I believe those players and families were very well quoted this week. The people that know our program know the success we've had on the field. They know the success we've had in the classroom. They know the success we've had in the community. Things we've done with Special Olympics, things we've done with Embrace Kids, things we've done with 1st Battalion, 114th Infantry. So the people that know our program and the people that are invested in our program, that issue doesn't exist.
Kyle, are you disappointed that you went to bat for some of these kids and they ended up in this situation?
Yes.
This happened in April. Was there any inkling from you at that point that something was amiss? I mean,
You gotta explain that question to me.
well, this happened.
The actual assault.
The alleged assault happened in the spring. Were you aware at all that anything might have been remiss? And is it part of your job to have known what was going on with your players at that point?
Yeah, I think all that stuff, guys, is a part of an investigation that I can't comment on.
Cal, whose decision was it? Obviously, President Barchi sent out a statement. I'm sure you saw it last night.
I did.
Where he called the behavior abhorrent and unacceptable. Can you react to his statement, please? And can you tell us whose decision was it to dismiss the players? Was that a football decision or a school decision or both?
I would start by saying that I did read Bob's statement. I have not spoken to Dr. Barchi, but I completely agree with it, and it was my decision.
Two more questions. Just follow up on that. Do you feel like you have support from the administration?
I do.
Coach, do you regret reinstating Rue on the field?
Yeah, I think that's the same question you just asked, right, Steve? I would say that I do.
Just how troubled are you to have 5 of your players get arrested for crimes like this?
It rips you apart inside. You, as the head coach, what you try to do, with over 100 players on your team, is you try to bring people into their lives to help them make good decisions. And when something like this happens, as the figurehead father of the program, it just rips you apart inside.
Kyle, when that actually happened the other day, can you just walk us through what that day was like for you personally, emotionally, and what you said to the rest of your team? And I guess the reason I ask that is if that's the message you would share with the general public as well.
I don't even know if I would be able to, Tara, if I would have the words to verbalize it. I just, when it happens, it's really hard. It's really hard. And you talk to the rest of the team and you continue to talk about decision making. We won't stop doing that. We won't stop bringing people into their lives. We did it again last night. We do it every Friday night on the road, when we're in the hotel as a team. Try to bring somebody into their lives to speak about being a better person, speak about someday being a better husband, someday being a better father. We're not going to do that. We're not going to stop doing that as a program. It's unacceptable what those players did. But I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of players down in that locker room right now that you're going to get an opportunity to speak with that I'm really proud of, and I'm really proud to have on this football team.
What changed between Thursday and then today? And I mean, temporarily suspended them on Thursday and you dismissed them today. Just more information, or?
At the time of the first release from the athletic department, we were unaware of really what the charges were.
They've been arrested, but they have not gone to trial. What if they are found innocent?
I don't think I can answer questions about hypotheticals. I got to let the process play out. Thank you.